Hi everyone, it's Kitty Kazoo. So today's video is something rather different. I wanted to try my hand at some various facial expressions and decided to record it. I made these base heads, and on the left side I'll draw expressions the way that I usually do, in a bit more of a moderate style, and on the right I want to challenge myself to make each expression more extreme. These are simple sketches, and this video may only be interesting to other artists who are interested in improving their art, because this is just an exercise that I want to try. But without further ado, let us begin. The first expression that I'm doing is pleased or content. I usually use this one for my art, but in the future I hope to mix it up and add more feeling to what I draw and evoke certain emotions. There is certainly a place for moderate expressions like you'll see on the left side, but even so I want to try just practicing some different things. The exaggerated pleased expression was basically just making her look happier, which wasn't particularly difficult for me. The second is depressed or sad. With this, I just wanted to throw out the idea of keeping a character attractive while expressing emotion, which is usually what I do, because most people just don't look flattering while they're sobbing their eyes out. It's simply something you can't expect of people. So I decided to forego the idea that people will always look nice, because it's just the fact that they will not, and thus just made them look true to the emotion that they might be feeling in that moment, instead of focusing so much on the attractiveness of the character. But I've basically driven that point home, so we'll move right along. The next one is infuriated. This was when I could most especially see the difference between the left and right versions, because while the left one is still giving a sense of anger and discontent, the one on the right looks like they're about to swear revenge on the one who killed their spouse or something to that extreme. It just is intense and insane, and I just really like the way that one turned out. It's probably one of my favorites of what I did here. The fourth one that I did is surprise, particularly in a positive manner. At least that's what I was going for. In the end, it sort of looked more like they were slightly frightened, but either way I still feel like it was an improvement between the left and right, because the one on the left just looks boring as heck, and it wasn't even fun to draw either. So coming up in just a couple seconds here is a full page view of the preceding four emotions. I think it's really interesting to see the progression down the page of these improvements. I don't even know what I'm saying. Next up, we have confused or unsure. This took a bit of thought to exaggerate, but I rather like how I went about it. I made the eyebrows a little bit more intense and gave them some shape instead of just being slight curves. And I gave the eyes a bit of shape, because when you move your eyebrows, the shape of your eye changes as well. But usually I don't make any sort of acknowledgement of that when an eyebrow is higher or lower on the character's face. Next is frightened. Number 6. The extreme version of this is perhaps my favorite result in this exercise. The details make it, and the character's fear is just palpable. You know that whatever they saw was positively horrific. This one was so much fun to do, just to exaggerate all these things and adding lines, like adding worry lines on the forehead and making dark circles under the eyes. It just made it feel so much more intense and interesting, and I just love looking back at that and thinking about the moment that this might have been taken, like if it was a picture. Number 7 was originally going to be a bored or tired expression, but after doing the moderate side, it looked more like a person who was just slightly perturbed, just a little bit upset. Making this extreme definitely made it less of a slightly upset emotion. It made them more like a extremely irked. But even so, I think it's rather nice, and it was definitely fun to do. Okay, we gotta move right along. The last one that we have here is a person appearing to be impressed. On both, I went for bigger eyes and the tiny little circle mouths, but the difference, I'd say, is the way that the mouth is done to look more like they're saying ooh or cool, rather than just sort of looking more like they're whistling. So now, in again just a few more seconds, we have a full page spread of the latter four. I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe you learned something. This was really just an exercise for me to learn something, so while it's certainly not my usual stuff, perhaps it was worth your time anyway. I'll see you in the next video, which, by the way, is the 50th video that I posted on here. See you then.